Our Across the Aisle segment tonight, the Women's March is demanding that the NRA pull down an ad with conservative commentator Dana Loesch, calling the video a direct endorsement of violence. But isn't the statement in question, calling on conservatives to fight the left with a clenched fist of truth, isn't that actually an endorsement of nonviolent protest? Watch the video.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth.
With me now, former Georgia State Representative, Democratic strategist, LaDon Jones. LaDon, happy 4th.
Happy Independence Day, Liz.
What a great country we live in. We've been talking about this the whole show so far. There is no day that I am prouder to be on television talking about politics, defending the foundational truths of our nation than this day, the 4th of July, Independence Day. But LaDon, we have to talk about this video. I mean, you've seen all the controversy online here. The Women's March actually called this video, and I'll give it to you that it's a fairly controversial video, but they said it was a direct attack on people of color. My question to you is how? How is it?
You know, I think it's because this this commercial hints at the fact that the police violence needs to come in to calm people who are exercising their constitutional rights to speak for or against whatever issue they're speaking for or against. And that is especially troubling in these times where we see that there are over 963 people killed by the hands of police officers in 2016 alone, yet NRA is amazingly quiet about their involvement or the police shooting of people who are carrying lawful weapons like Philando Castile. So I think the racial overtones that was hinted at, the theys that were in there, is what's causing people some concern.
Right, that's not what it said. I mean, I get your point, and that's why I would dub it as a controversial ad, but that's not the words that were in the video. I mean, they were very clearly referring to, and the video footage that they showed over the top of the voiceover was, I believe it was at Berkeley, when the Antifa thugs were vandalizing and looting and robbing and breaking glass. I mean, I didn't think that was really a partisan issue. I mean, you as a Democrat, me as a Republican, we both agree that the police should step in and stop violent mobs and riots of people that are vandalizing, burning, and hurting other people. That's separate from the police violence that the Black Lives Matter movement talks about.
Yes, but you see, liberals aren't so fooled by watching pretty things on screen and listening to the language. You can hear her verbiage, and I don't know if I would go so far as to say that it is racist, but it is certainly concerning. I go back to this point, where is the NRA on issues when African Americans are involved? So if people are connoting this particular commercial with race, it's probably not just because of this commercial, but because of NRA's history.
Right, but they're making it about this. I mean, I guess I don't understand the Women's March involvement here, the fact that they're talking about it being a direct attack on women of color. I mean, the two of the organizers of the Women's March, that's Razmaya O'Day and Linda Sarsour, they're not just feminists. I mean, they're radical revolutionaries. Razmaya O'Day was convicted in Israel of bombing an embassy. She killed 2 Israeli students. And Linda Sarsour, who's one of the most prominent feminist voices in our nation right now, as you know, I mean, she says Sharia, the law, the Islamic law, is reasonable, and she called to cut off the genitalia of 2 women who disagreed with her. That's not exactly calling for nonviolence, as this ad arguably is.
That may be the case, but the Women's March is about more than just 2 people. The Women's March is about us exercising and raising our rights to vote for a number of a myriad of things. And frankly, that's where the NRA is missing. See, these women who may not directly be African-American women are standing up for an issue that does not directly affect them. Where is the NRA?
Wait a second. Let me ask you, let me just understand what you're saying. Are you saying that the 2 organizers, the founders of the Women's March, that their views don't represent the Women's March?
No, I'm saying the exact opposite. That even if their views do not exactly represent who they are as a person, they can actually speak up for issues outside of things that happen in their own home. That's where Republicans.
Right. No, I get that.
If it doesn't affect your household, you don't care.
No, I get that. I agree with that. I mean, you and I do that every day. That's part of what it means to be an active citizen in our nation. You comment on things, not that just things that are right under your nose here. But the point I'm making here is that these women, Razmaya O'Day and Linda Sarsour, are condemning this video, saying that it's a direct call to violence here, when their actions, their history is actually very violent here. And it seems to me that not only is violence wrong in any case, they're being hypocrites here because they're accusing someone else of being violent when calling for resistance via a clenched fist of truth is actually a call for nonviolent protests.
Maybe, but if it is hypocritical, it's no more hypocritical than those conservatives who say they are pro the death penalty but anti-abortion. That's a part of politics where there are positions that you may take that may not always be congruent with one another.
So it doesn't bother you that one of the founders, the organizers, the leaders of the Women's March is a convicted murderer?
Not nearly as much as it bothers me that the NRA has such control over our government and they are very selective in the things that they want to support. That's why this commercial bothered me more than anything.
Well, it certainly bothers me that so many millions of American women, American feminists, liberal women are okay with these women speaking for them. These women, one of them is a murderer, the other one called for female genital mutilation based off of a disagreement of political discourse. I can't think of anything that's more violent in a nation that's found on supposedly civil discourse like you and I engage in every week. It's shocking to me. We're done.